Hey, welcome back to our Achievement Hunter series aimed at embracing the Darkmoon Faire gameplay achievements. We've spun through the achievements for every class, and now all that remains are the harmless little neutral achievements. Let's get into it.
Huh, this should be interesting.
In today's video, we're covering all 9 neutral achievements, which are F2P BTW, which requires us to play a zero-cost corrupted card, with the final stage being 100 times. Harmless Little Bunny, to destroy a number of minions with a Darkmoon Rabbit, culminating in 25 Headless Knights. Dermatology, essentially to play a horrendous growth with 15 attack or higher. Coulrophobia, simply to end your turn with a board full of carnival clowns. Embrace the Void, where the final stage calls for us to play a total of 500, yes, 500 corrupted cards. No Pathetic cards, requiring us to kill an opponent from full health with Cthulhu the Shattered. And the last 3 are It's Nzothing Really, to resurrect 6 minions at once with N'Zoth, God of the Deep. Yogg Take the Wheel, where the second stage is to spin the wheel of Yogg Saron to win the game. And finally, Wheel of Misfortune, ultimately to get all 6 possible outcomes from the Wheel of Yogg Saron. Aside from no pathetic cards, none of these requires us to win games to complete, so we can be pretty creative when working on these. As usual, there are timestamps for each achievement and deck codes for each deck mentioned in the description below if you'd like to skip to one you're looking for. Let's start with one of the most fun ones, Harmless Little Bunny. Monty Python's Nightmare returns to take down 25 minions in the 3rd stage. If you already did the Missing Holy Hand Grenade achievement from the Warlock edition, you likely have some progress towards this one. And while the decks for that achievement using Deck of Chaos in Warlock, Galakrond in Rogue, or Geppetto Joybuzz in any class will work for this achievement as well, there are more efficient ways to finish this. However, real quick, for those of you without Darkmoon Rabbit in your collection, it's possible to get Darkmoon Rabbit from the Menagerie buckets in duels for all classes but Priest and Mage. It's in the Summoning buckets for Priest and the Why not buckets for Mage. And it's possible to discover from Athletic Studies in Warrior. But that would mean playing quite a large number of games to discover the rabbit and finish this one. But if you have Darkmoon Rabbit and you're looking to complete this one efficiently, you might consider using this Rabbit Rogue deck we built. It uses 2 copies of Darkmoon Rabbit and Togwaggle's Scheme so that there's potential to shuffle a bunch of rabbits into your deck. To discount the rabbits and cycle through the deck, it has Highsparrow Togwaggle and Galakrond. But if you're in a spot where you drew both rabbits at full cost, you can Shadow Step one so that you can play Togwaggle's Scheme on it on the following turn. It's not recommended, but it's an option. And when this works out, it's amazingly fun to have a swarm of rushing rabbits of death to keep clearing the opponent's board. Have fun completing this one. Okay, we're going to bundle these next 2 achievements together, since it's a good idea to complete the F2P BTW achievement to play 100 zero-cost corrupted cards while working on the Embrace the Void achievement, where you ultimately have to play 500 corrupted cards. Yashar's the Defiler is certainly the most efficient card to complete the free-to-play by the way achievement. However, since Strongman becomes 0 mana when corrupted, he will help you make very gradual progress towards this if you don't have Yasharj. And in Rogue, it's possible to use Highsparrow and Togwaggle to discount corrupt cards to 0 mana, or use Shadow Step on Sweet Tooth or Horrendous Growth if you're desperate. Now, I would say that the Embrace the Void achievement just requires playing a bunch with corrupt cards to complete, but that's boring, and we wanted an efficient way to grind these 2 achievements out as quickly as possible, so we built this Medical Corruption Rogue deck. Circus Medic is one of the cheaper corrupt cards available, and she's pretty flexible in how she can be used. I mean, she heals before being corrupted, and she can help clear the board or go face over taunts. So aside from Tikatis, she's my favorite corrupt card. Anyways, once you've corrupted her, you can shuffle a bunch of copies of her into the deck with Togwaggle Scheme, and since she's already corrupted, you can just keep top decking 4 damage battle cries on a 3/4 body. If you play Heist Baron Togwaggle after shuffling a bunch of copies into the deck, there'll be a higher chance of getting copies of her back for 0 mana, getting additional progress towards the F2P BTW achievement. And as a finisher, you can use Lorekeeper Polkelt to ensure Yasharj will join your hand to give you a bunch of 0-cost medics to burst your opponent down. The games where you're able to use the Wondrous Wand from Heist Baron Togwaggle right after playing Lorekeeper Polkelt to get 0 mana versions of Yasharj, Galakrond, and Kronks feel amazing, but the deck has a number of other absurd combos you can pull off as well. We ended the 59 games we played using this second version of the deck with a 49% win rate, and since our focus was more on playing lots of corrupt cards than winning, you could probably bump it above 50% with a minor shift in priorities, meaning you could climb while getting progress towards this achievement. It'll be a grind however you choose to complete this, but this may well be my favorite deck to come from this expansion. Good luck. Next up is the neutral achievement that is probably the simplest to set up as long as you don't have a fear of clowns, Coulrophobia. All you have to do is corrupt the Carnival Clown and play him on an empty board. But if you don't have him in your collection, it may be possible to discover him from information in Warrior. If you include it in a big Warrior, that would give you what you need to corrupt him. In duels, it doesn't appear as though Carnival Clown is in any of the buckets, but it is possible to get a corrupted copy added to your hand from the Droplet of Insanity signature treasure for priests. If you have a copy of him, Druid is probably the most efficient class to pull this off. We completed this achievement pretty early on, most likely with a deck similar to this Clown Druid from HSReplay. Just use the broken powerful ramp available to Druid to get to 10 mana quickly, play Survival of the Fittest, Yogg Saron, or even Yasharj with the Clown in hand, and follow it up by playing him out once your board is clear. End your turn, and collect your XP reward. Easy. Let's jump to another one that's pretty fun to pull off, Dermatology. The second stage requires you to play a horrendous growth with 15 attack or higher, which may sound like a major challenge, but in the right deck, it's not too difficult. If you don't have horrendous growth, like many of the other epics and legendaries, it is possible to get it in duels buckets. The horrendous growth is in the underlings bucket for every class, but in order to get this to 15 attack or higher, it has to be corrupted at least 13 times, or buffed by something else like Claw Machine. So whichever mode or class you attempt this with, a way to speed this up is to run it in a deck with cards that can discount minions, as a 1 or 0 mana horrendous growth is much easier to corrupt a bunch of times, or a deck with a number of hand buffs that can hit a non-tribal card like horrendous growth. We went the discount route with Fate Weavers in this Yasharj Growth Galakrond Priest deck. This deck was one we slapped together to get as much value as possible out of Yasharj, so it isn't optimized just to complete this achievement. But with the opportunity to discount the horrendous growth to 0 mana while generating additional minions from Galakrond's invokes and hero power, it's possible to get the horrendous growth to a much larger size than 15/15. And with the copies coming back from N'Zoth already buffed to the larger size, if you don't play them out immediately, you can continue making them even larger. Adjust the deck however you want to match your collection and taste, but as long as you have the Priest Galakrond package, it shouldn't take too long to make this massive. We stopped at 17/17 for the last one before our opponent died, but how big will you make it? For the next two, we're going to wrap them into one segment as well, since they're so closely related. Wheel of Misfortune requires us to spin the wheel of Yogg Saron enough times to get all 6 different outcomes, and Yogg Take the Wheel requires that we win the game with the wheel of Yogg Saron. Obviously, this means we need Yogg Saron, Master of Fate, to complete these. If you don't have him, it's possible to pick him up in the More Spells bucket for Mage. According to the resources I've been looking at, while the old version, Yogg-Saron Hope's End, is available to every class, it only lists Mage as having access to Yogg-Saron Master of Fate. Let me know in the comments below if you found him in other classes and duels. In Ranked, any deck running Yogg-Saron with sufficient spells can complete this with enough play. However, if you'd like to speed things up, you can try this Yogg-Waggle's Quest Rogue deck we made for potential to play a bunch of Yogg-Sarons in a single match. With this deck, we actually played 8 Yoggs in one game. There's a link to the highlight for that up above. And certainly when you roll the Rod of Roasting outcome, one of you will die. If it's the opponent, that will complete the Yogg Take the Wheel achievement. Now, if you'd like to ensure that when you get the 5% chance outcome of Rod of Roasting from the Wheel of Yogg-Saron, it will kill the opponent, you could cast Blur in Demon Hunter before playing him. While we haven't done too much testing with it yet, this blurred Yogg-Saron Demon Hunter using a Lifesteal Demon Hunter shell can do the trick. Have fun exploring Yogg-Saron's madness. These last couple achievements also revolve around Old Gods. For its N'Zothing really, we need to resurrect 6 minions at once with N'Zoth, God of the Deep. As you'll need N'Zoth to complete this, you can find him in the Menagerie bucket in duels if you don't have him. You can construct your deck with 6 different minion types, or tribes, at the start. And Circus Amalgam can count for any missing minion types as long as you've played out enough minions of different tribes. As there's a common or free rarity neutral for every minion type, you can slap together a N'Zoth deck in any class to complete this one. If you're looking for a really fast way to complete this achievement, this N'Zoth's Aggression deck has Ridiculous Cycle with potential to discount N'Zoth with a Skull of Gul'dan. As long as you can stay alive long enough to play out all the minion types and summon N'Zoth, you'll finish this one quickly. However, if you're looking for a fun challenge to complete this one, I'm pretty sure the deck we used to complete this was this N'Zoth's Taunts Warrior. While we weren't recording when this achievement was completed, based on the date, I'm pretty sure this is the deck we were using. And it's a lot of fun. We made a highlight video with this deck showing a game where we summoned 5 taunts with N'Zoth instead of all 6 needed for this achievement. There's a link to that full highlight above if you'd like to check it out. So while you can certainly complete this one quickly with Demon Hunter, why not brag that instead of building a wall, you summoned a full wall? Good luck however you choose to complete this one. And the final gameplay achievement for Madness at the Darkmoon Faire is one of the most challenging, but YoggChamp still has it beat. No Pathetic Cards requires us to kill our opponent from full health with Cthulhu the Shattered. It can be a challenge to gather all the pieces of Cthulhu over the course of a game, but to kill an opponent at full health when one of the pieces shoots 7 missiles at random enemies requires a bit of creativity to set up. Unlike most of the other achievements requiring an epic or legendary, it doesn't seem as though Cthulhu the Shattered is offered in any of the duel's buckets, and as it uses a start of game effect, even Prince Malchezaar can't help you in Wild. So if you don't have Cthulhu the Shattered in your collection, I don't think you'll be able to do this one. I don't know if you could draft him in Arena, but it would be almost impossible to draft a deck capable of pulling this off, even if you could. So, assuming you have Cthulhu, there are a number of ways you could pull this off in Ranked. We experimented with a number of different decks that all have potential to do this, but the deck we ultimately used to complete it was this Broom Cthulhu Paladin. To get the opponent back to full health after playing the Eye of Cthulhu and any other damage they do to themselves, you can use the Libram of Hope or Holy Light on them. But it can be quite the challenge to assemble the full combo and put the opponent back to full health if they use any weapons. In our case, we lucked out that the shaman we completed this against had Witch's Brew to put themselves back to close to full health after they took a ton of damage using their Doomhammer. There's a link to the full highlight of the game where we completed this achievement if you'd like to see how it played out. Several people have mentioned that it's easier to complete this in Wild as a druid using Tree of Life. This Tree of Cthulhu deck from Mireto777 can do the achievement if you've managed to assemble Cthulhu and the following cards to be played in this order: Aviana, then Innervate or Lightning Bloom, followed by Kuhn, then Ysel, and play Cthulhu to clear the board, heal them back to full life with Tree of Life, and then play Floop, who is now a copy of Cthulhu, to kill the opponent from full health. Quite the combo, but it is possible. Another Wild deck with excellent potential is from Cerberus BT on Out of Cards. Their Pathetic Cards deck uses Geppetto to draw Cthulhu from the deck once he's been assembled, leaving 9 mana to clear the board and heal the opponent back to full with Witch's Brew before dropping Cthulhu and killing them from full health. It'll be a challenge however you approach it, but it's doable with all these decks and a number of others. Best of luck. And that's a wrap. If you found this helpful, drop a like. It'll help others find this video, as YouTube enjoys it when people press buttons for them. This was the last video in our Achievement Hunters series for Madness at the Darkmoon Faire, unless they release more achievements together with the mini-set. But we also make gameplay videos, card reviews, and we'll be doing more guides down the road. So check back for future videos, or subscribe, because we make amazing content. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comments. And if watching content live is your thing, check out our streams at twitch.tv/SSAlchemist. We currently stream on Saturdays and Sundays. And remember, you're awesome. Thank you for watching, and have an awesome day.